Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. Today's podcast is entitled Today is the Day. And as usual, I will start this podcast off with a quote: Small deeds done are better than great deeds planned. And that's the quote by Peter Marshall. This podcast could have also been entitled Indecisiveness. Um, it's something that we all suffer from. We all go through. Sometimes we overanalyze or we just make things more complicated than they have to be, and then we suffer from, you know, paralysis by analysis, and we end up staying in the same place for oftentimes for more than what we need to be there. Um, and this isn't conducive to success. I think I've made another podcast about indecisiveness, a earlier episode, but I mean, it warrants going over again. And, this is just a call to action. Today is the day. No more procrastinating, no more waiting for things to be right, no more waiting for things to be perfect, no more waiting for somebody else. You know, your circumstances and your environment are controlled largely by you. It may seem that we don't have control over our life or control over our circumstances, but that's not the case. Um, we may not have 100% control of our circumstances, but we do have control. Life is not largely something that happened just by chance or by luck or, by fate. Um, Luck is where preparation meets opportunity. So if you find yourself having a bunch of good luck, maybe you should look around and see some of the things that you're doing, some of the habits that you have, some of the principles that you follow, and maybe that's the cause of the consistency and results, or the consistency and good luck that you're feeling. But taking action is a large part of dictating the circumstances in your life. We're gonna come to many crossroads, many forks in the road where we're gonna have to choose to go left and go right, and there'll be pluses and minuses for both, and it'll cause us to kind of hesitate, and that hesitation is not conducive to our success. It's not going to help us be the successful person that we need to be, because we need to be decisive in the actions that we take. If you go left hard, or if you go right hard. But you just need to take action. Just sitting still and not moving is unacceptable. Now, life is not black and white. It operates in shades of gray. So I understand there may be times where you do need to take things into account and plan things out and stuff like that, but all the time is not the time for that. This is just a call to action about, the little things that we make big things or make hard things, because we have only so much, like, I call it emotional real estate, or mental real estate, that we could commit to the day, commit to the action. And if we're spreading that out over the course of a bunch of meaningless tasks and stuff like that, when we have a hard task or a complicated task that we have to face, it makes that decision that much harder, because you're diverting your energy, your mental capacity to things that are seemingly easy. Um, for instance, like waking up in the morning, um, we have a lot of decisions to make, like what to wear, what to eat, what route we're gonna take to get to work, all of those type of things. I've read a lot of books that talk about how we can make that our mornings easier or more effective. And what we could do are simple tasks like lay out our clothes, so that that's a decision we don't have to make. Um, have your breakfast already ready or situated in a fashion that it's not going to take a lot of mental capacity or decision making to process what you're going to do. Um, you know, already know what route you're going to take to work, and if traffic happens, adapt to it and overcome. But there are tips and tricks that we can, you know, put into our life or create that can help us to make choices easier, or at least use less mental capacity to direct it to these type of things that we shouldn't be, just to be real. Today is the day. The time to take action is now. Like, everything is not going to be perfect. Everything is not going to be the way you want to. More often than not, things are going to be in shades of gray. You could go left, you could go right. Just make a decision. Like, you got to make a decision. Being indecisive may result in you hurting yourself, you hurting your dreams and goals, you hurting your plans, the mission that you have for life. But being indecisive can also hurt those around you. So being indecisive really doesn't serve anybody. If you're going to go left, go left. If you're going to go right, go right. And there may be consequences for both of those. But at the end of the day, that's life. So you just have to be ready to go at a moment's notice. You have to, and a lot of that comes with already having in your mind, what you're going to do, what's acceptable and what's permissible and stuff like that. That makes decisions a lot easier too, having your foundation and your ethics and your morals and all of that stuff set, so that when you get into situations, you can already decide the route that you're going to take based on those factors, your morals, your ethics, and your principles, the core of who you are. A lot of us suffer from paralysis by analysis. That's basically being froze by decision making. On the battlefield or in the trainings that I've been to and stuff like that, my instructors just wanted to see that I made a decision most of the time. Sometimes it was the wrong decision. Sometimes it was the right decision. You get debriefed about it and then you just learn. But you take the information that you have present at the moment, you compare that to the mission or the objective that you're trying to accomplish, and then you simply make a decision. Does it serve you? Does it not serve you? Does it serve the mission or the goal at hand? Will you hurt others? Like, those are questions that you should ask yourself. I feel like sometimes people ask themselves like a million questions that are irrelevant. I feel like if we shorten the list down to mission specific questions, then it'll make the decision process a lot shorter and our decisions more effective. More often than not, things will not be perfect or just right for us. That's just the way that life is. Things are never going to be perfect. When you'll train for months and months at a time and then hurt yourself right before the event that's going to happen. That's happened to me several times. You'll do all this planning and all this preparation, pack all this gear, and then when the time comes for you to go to the mission, the one thing that you didn't bring is the one thing that you'll need. That's happened to me before. You can overplan and bring too much stuff. That's happened to me before. And I'm talking about all of this stuff in the capacity of like physical preparation, like packing gear and stuff, going on missions and being ready, or what I thought was ready for the task at hand. I've overpacked, I've underpacked, I've packed the wrong tools, and there's been times that I've got it right. I packed just what I needed. But in saying that, the comparison that I was trying to make is, as in the physical, so in the mental. Your inward world is a projection, is projected into your outward environment. So we can make a comparison between the two of, packing too much or not packing enough or whatever. We can compare that to decisions that you make. You might consider too many things. You may not consider enough things. And then you may consider, the perfect amount of things, like all factors that may affect or weigh on the decision. But, the best thing that we could do is train our minds by reading and exercising and making ourselves mentally and physically tough. And then when we have to make these decisions, just do it based on the information that you got, the stuff that's readily available, instead of trying to factor in things that, aren't, I don't know what you would say, aren't mission specific. Like, that's what I'm really trying to say. Like, we all have a mission in life, whether we call it a mission or not. I was in the military, so I use the word mission. But, goals, dreams, desires, and stuff like that. Like, they have a million different names. But it all boils down to, like, are the choices that we make in mission specific? And if they are we making them in a timely fashion that serves us and serves the mission? So why not today? Why not open that bank account? Why not start that business? Why not get your LLC? Why not, build the team, get your business partners together and talk about your ideas? Why not jump out there on faith and, take a chance that may appear to be a little bit scary, but the reward is unfathomable, or maybe it is fathomable, but it's just a little bit scary. Whether you do it or you don't, that circumstance, that incident, that occurrence is still going to be there. It's just like, skydiving. Once you make your mind to get up in the plane, like when you get to that altitude that you have to jump, either you do it or you don't. Like, there's no maybe. There's no try. It's either you do or you don't. So, plans are not perfect. I'm sorry, excuse me, I jumped ahead of myself. Plans are not perfect. All plans seem perfect until first contact. That's something that I learned in the military as well. And basically that's saying, like, everybody makes a plan when they're in the safety and security of their, base. You got the walls around you, you got security set up, and for the most part it's not a hostile environment. So you can, sit down at the table, you can get a whole bunch of intel, you can plan things out, you can make a route, you can, game plan, talk about ambushes and all these other type of things, and, draw it up real pretty, make a presentation. The presentation goes well, but no plan survives first contact. So as soon as you step out the wire, or as soon as you begin your mission, something is probably going to happen that wasn't expected. And I'm not saying that all plans are going to fail or all decisions are bad choices, but again, life is shades of gray. So, everything isn't going to be perfect. You may go on that mission in your life where you set out to be a doctor and you take all the right steps and you ultimately end up being a doctor. But what I'm saying is that also in life, there's a lot of times that, you're not going to move towards your goal in a straight line. Sometimes you're going to veer off and then come back into it. That's just the way that life is. But you still have to be decisive. That choice that you make might take you the long way out, but you can still make choices to bring yourself back into it. And going back to our mission analogy, even if you plan for everything perfect and something happens that wasn't planned for, you can still adapt, overcome, and achieve success. It's just how malleable you are. It doesn't serve us to be rigid, Semper Gumby. You always got to be ready to be flexible and to kind of bend and move to the situation and the environments around you. We can't be so rigid that we don't give way for, things going awry this much, or maybe over success, or we can't plan for everything. We're not going to account for everything. It's just not the way the world works. Remember the power of compounding. The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I mean, simply just start. You can't move closer to your dreams, closer to your goals, if you're not taking action. You have to take action. Action is the only thing that's going to get you closer to your goals. Inaction is just going to have you sitting where you are right now, not any closer to the things that you want or you desire. A river cuts through a rock, not because of its power, but because of its persistence. A lot could be done in your life if you just stay persistent. Like doing what you need to do day to day, grinding out, not worrying about the lack of results, because you may not be able to see the results. The results may be there, but you might not be able to see them. Um, just keep being persistent, keep pushing, keep wearing down at your task. And when you first look at it, it might be a mountain, but as you start being persistent, taking continual action every day, small efforts or small work done over a long period of time, that mountain will eventually become a hill, and it'll be something that you can conquer. Um, Another thing that I was taught in the military is they say, like, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. So just focus on making that step that you're taking the best, the most intelligent, intentional step that you can make, and just push forward with whatever comes next. Adapt, achieve, and overcome. Adapt, overcome, and achieve. Remember the 3 W's that we talked about earlier. Do what you can, where you are at with what you have. That's all that anybody could ask of you. You can't do any more and you can't do any less. You can only do what you can do. You can give 100%. You can give max effort. You can commit with the information that you have, with the resources that you have. All you can do is what you can do where you're at or what you have. Your mental capacity, your emotional capacity, your physical resilience, your mental resilience, your flexibility, your adaptability, all of those characteristics and foundational principles that we were talking about creating and having in your mind and knowing about, that's your toolbox. That's the things that you can rely on at the end of the day, to have in your back pocket, that you can always use or pull out to be resourceful with, and we need to build that toolbox.
Your task is red.
That's my affirmation reminder, excuse me. But I think we all need to have this toolbox, because the toolbox makes things easier. Like if something goes awry, you reach into the toolbox and you pull out, something that you read in a book, and it makes it seem bearable. It's just little tips and tricks and that we can commit to our life that will help make things a little bit easier. And I'm not perfect. I'm still learning a lot of these tips and tricks, and I'm still learning how to apply these tips and tricks in my life. But life is about the journey, not the destination. So it's all good. As always, victory starts in the mind. Life's battles don't always go to the stronger or faster man, but sooner or later, the man who thinks he can wins the race. That's a quote by Vince Lombardi. It all begins in the mind. So indecisiveness begins in the mind too. When you think there's more components than there really are, when you think that, the consequences are worse than what they really may be, when you think, our minds can go crazy. Like, I'm sure everybody listening to this podcast have experienced like moments in time or a point in their life when their minds have just gone, crazy. Thoughts are just running through their head, and maybe in a relationship or in school or during a basketball game, a sporting event, whatever. You have those periods of time where your thoughts are just going crazy, and they're not really serving you. It all starts in your mind, like everything we discussed in prior podcasts and this current podcast and the future podcast. It might not be entitled The Mind or anything like that, but it all starts in the mind. Everything starts in the mind. Like the man who thinks he can or he can't are both right. It starts in your mind. So you have to make up in your mind that you're going to be decisive beforehand, before you even get to the point of making the decisions, before you even get to the point of this crossroad or this fork in the road, because the time to decide that you're going to be decisive or that you're going to have your foundation set or your ethics set or your moral set is not at that time in the fork in the road. That's going to be time for action. The path leading up to that, or the journey up to that fork in the road, was the time to establish all of that stuff. Your dreams and goals are only limited by your imagination. Dream as big as you want to. Dream as hard as you want to. Nothing's impossible. Nothing's impossible. You could do anything. You can be a doctor. You can be a fighter pilot. You can be an engineer. You can be a millionaire, a billionaire. You can be whatever you want to be. Our lives are only inhibited by us. We are the factor, the constant, in the equation of life. We are the one constant. Every situation that we face, everything that we go through, every incident, all of that stuff may change. The factors and circumstances may change, but the one thing that remains constant is us. So we need to ensure that our minds are in the right place, and our spirit is in the right place, and our body is in the right place, so that even though things are changing around us, we remain resilient, and we remain in that place where we can make decisions, accurately, intelligently, and in a timely fashion that will serve us and serve the goals that we're trying to move towards. Live your life as if you are the main character in your own movie. Be your own hero. Nobody's coming to save you. A lot of times, well, not a lot of times, but every time in everybody's life, when we're growing up, there's a point in time where our parents make a lot of decisions for us. They bail us out. They save us. They choose what school we're going to go to, what sports we're going to play, and stuff like that. But in life, you transition into a point where you take the reins of your own life. And at the end of the day, it's only going to be for you to help yourself. Your parents might help you, and they might help you for a long time. Some people, your parents might not help you as long as you want or would be ideal. But at the end of the day, you have to be your own hero. You have to make your own decisions. You have to make your own choices. That's the only way you're going to live a life that you want to live. That's based on your intention and your dreams and your goals, is if you take the reins and control your own life. At the end of the day, it's you against yourself. I know that I do it too. I look to the left and to the right and sometimes compare myself with other people and compare myself to what people are doing here and what people are doing there. But at the end of the day, it's you against yourself. Like, it doesn't matter what they're doing. You don't know their story. You don't know what they had to go through, and you don't know what they haven't gone through yet, and how that will affect them in the long run, or if they'll even be able to pass that test first time around. So it's you against yourself. Don't look to the left, to the right. Just focus on you. Focus on the decisions you're making. How will that decision affect you and the things that you consider important to you, like your family, your friends, your job, your goals, your dreams? Don't focus on how it'll make you look in comparison to others, or how it'll make your story look, or the outwardly appearance, as opposed to the inward or the actual progress that you make in actual life, not in this fake persona that you try to build. So I know that we've been talking about basically indecisiveness for this whole podcast, and that the time is now, that today is the day that you need to make strides and efforts towards your goals, or make maybe that tough decision in your life that you've kind of been paused at or hesitating at for some time, or maybe you've just arrived at this decision but you still don't know what to do. 7 cures for indecisiveness that I have that might make things a little bit easier. Number 1 is forget about always appearing smart. We don't know everything. We can't know everything. We can only learn more. You know what I'm saying? So just learn what's applicable to your situation and then try to use it the best way that you can. Trust your gut. Your gut is an intuition that is strong. I don't know how to really explain it, but trust your gut. Your gut may know the answer way before you even rationalize it or perceive it. Your gut is there for a reason. Beware the paradox of choice. Choice can sometimes be very deceptive. The illusion of choice may exist, like you have all of these choices, but really it's much, much, much simpler if you just dumb it down Barney style and you just put everything in perspective. It'll eliminate a lot of the fog that doesn't exist. Prioritize your demands and your fears. So you need to put the mission first, above your fears, above yourself, above, everything else, you need to put your missions first. Um, you know, it fear is false evidence appearing real. It doesn't serve you to be scared all the time. It doesn't help your mission for you to be scared all the time. You know, you have to take action. You're gonna have to take action. Whether you're scared or not, you're gonna take action now or later. So just gather your intelligence and make the smartest decision you can do. You can make based on the information that you have and the environment that you're in. Place your success, your dreams, your goals, your family, your friends. When your friends is questionable, but place the things that matter to you in that small circle that you've created over your fears. You know, don't let fear drive your decision making, because that's always the wrong choice. Accept the limits of analysis. You're never going to be able to analyze everything. You can't. That's paralysis by analysis, where you just stay in one place because you can't decide to go left to go right. In the military, that'll get you killed. You need to decide to go left to go right. You need to take action. You can't hesitate, because you don't know what progress you're halting behind you, you know, and you don't know how you're killing your goal. You know, they're just factors that you haven't even thought about. You haven't even comprehended, that are being affected still because of your choice not to make a choice. That's a choice. Choosing not to make a choice is a choice. So either way you look at it, you're making a choice. Flip a coin. You know, heads I go, tails I don't. Just make it easy. Break it down Barney style. If it seems too complicated, then just make it easy. You know, life is what we make it. If you want to make it complicated, it can be that. If you want to make it hard, it can be that. But we can also make it easier. You know, the one constant in every situation is you. So it'll behoove you to ensure that you are in a place where you can make things easier for yourself, because you are the one constant. And the way you do that is how we discussed, you know, reading books, talking to people who are doing better than you're doing, doing things that strengthen your mind, body, and spirit, so that when these times come for making the tough decisions, you're in a place where you're ready. And lastly, practice stoicism. And that's living a life with endurance of pain or hardship without displaying feelings or without complaint. You know, just go through it, you know, or grow through it. It's life is going to be tough. Life is going to be hard. You know, I'm not saying life is always hard. There's a lot of beauty in life, and there's a lot of beauty along the way in our journey. But, you know, every day isn't going to be a good day. You know, sometimes we're going to try as hard as we can, and we're still going to fail. Sometimes you're going to make a decision to go left, and that decision was the wrong decision. Or maybe that decision served your goals, your dreams, less than the decision that would have been on the right hand side of the fork in the road. But making a choice is what matters. You can always adapt, overcome, and achieve your goal just by having the inherent ability of being flexible. You know, being flexible with the time frame that you have, or being flexible with, you know, people coming in and out of your life, or being flexible with, hey, this isn't going the way I want it to, but it's okay. I'm still going to make it work for me anyways. You know, being coachable, you know, even though you make a wrong decision, being able to ask somebody like, hey, how can I make this simpler? Or what did I do wrong? And then they help you through it. It's just all about making that decision, man. Like, life is a compilation of choices, you know, and it's all about making the right choice or the wrong choice. And sometimes that's not clear. But when that's not clear, just make a choice and then adapt, you know, grow through it, learn, be better because of it. And then next time you come around, or next time that comes around, you won't make that mistake again. It only serves you to better yourself. You know, it's only going to help you in the long run to better yourself. You know, and you never know what actions that you're going to take in life, how they will benefit those around you, the ones you love, the ones you care about. And it all starts with the mind. You know, when you put yourself in the place of the capacity that you are willing to do what it takes to achieve the success or achieve the goal that you have in mind, then you'll be unstoppable. You'll be unstoppable. And then if you put on top of that, having a committed spirit that what you're doing is right, is just, it's a worthy cause, and then having a physical awareness and consciousness to the point that you can handle what you're about to go through on all three levels, you're going to be unstoppable. You're going to be unstoppable. And that choice that may be hard for somebody will be easy for you, because throughout your journey you've been taking the steps and doing things necessary to prepare you for this moment.